what's all this then? Adventurers in my woods? Well, I'll show them a thing or two. And here we are. Hello, and welcome to the Greyhawk channel for the first episode of Dreadwood Fairytales, the spooky adventure in the woods with a bunch of hag nonsense, which probably needs a better tagline. I am your humble dungeon master, Mike Gargoni, and joining me are some amazing adventurers, though we are short one page this week, though they will be joining us as of the second episode, due to some dramatic tension building. But in the meanwhile, let's introduce our first two players that you'll be meeting today. Take it away. I don't know where I'm pointing.
I am Elliot, and I am playing Princess Merrimack Glass.
Hi, I am Becca, and I'm going to be playing Lulu Perdamica.
You want to tell us a little bit about your characters, perhaps, as right before we enter these deep, dark woods?
Well, Merrimack is a privateer, not a pirate, who is traveling into these woods to rescue a prince, to try to garner some favor, to bankroll a rebellion. She is a human warlock.
And that's all we need to know for now.
So Lulu is she's a forest gnome druid, and she also has a pet mastiff named Porkchop. She lives in these woods, and she loves big, beastly creatures.
I'm sure that won't come up at all.
Oh no, not at all.
So, we start now. Well, not quite, because I just forgot I need to talk about all of the fine people that make this program possible. As a first-time streaming GM, I'm clearly working through the kinks of things. So, I would like to, of course, thank our incredible patrons and Twitch supporters who make everything we do here at the Greyhawk channel possible. It is thanks to viewers like you that we can do weird streams such as the one you are about to watch right now, and love every second of it. I would also like to let you all know that all of our games here on the Greyhawk channel are powered by Roll20, the world's leading virtual tabletop, and now the Greyhawk channel is officially supported by Roll20, which you can try out for free right now at roll20.net. It is an amazing virtual tabletop experience. You can also gain the use of hundreds of maps via our friends over at Heroic Maps that you can find on DriveThruRPG, which you can then conveniently use on Roll20. Who'da thunk? And of course, you can check out our friends over at tabletoploot.com, entering the coupon code GREYHAWK to get 15% off of your next dice order. Because you know what we all desperately need, especially when using virtual tabletops, is more dice.
It's true.
You can never have too many dice.
This is absolutely true. And of course, as I mentioned, all of our fine Patreon and Twitch subscribers can, of course, get coupon codes to go to rueinc.com and Cantrip Candles on our private Discord page. So I highly encourage anyone viewing to go check out the Greyhawk channel Discord page, where you can find A, sweet discount codes for online retailers, and B, a bunch of cool people to hang out with and talk about Dungeons & Dragons, and its first in-setting world, that of Greyhawk. But, without further ado, I would like to take us to Greyhawk for a moment. Well, or at least for the next 3 hours anyway. Because we find ourselves now near the southern coast of the country of Keoland. A large, sprawling woodland stretches out and covers the southern border of this country. Recently racked with some inner turmoil, Keoland is trying to recover as its king is constantly having to worry about who is going to be the heir to the throne. In the meantime, the hold of the sea princes to the south causes endless amounts of trouble, as I'm sure Princess Merrimack knows nothing about.
Look, I know a lot about it, and I'm not happy about it either.
Indeed. But in the midst of all of this chaos, something has gone wrong in the kingdom of Keoland. And that is the fact that one of their princes has gone missing. In the dead of night, under a shroud of secrecy and swarms of insects, a hag has swept into the castle of Keoland and stolen the third in line for the throne, one of their sweet, sweet princelings, Prince Hamilton. That's right, Prince Hamilton Keoland is missing. And in his place, left in his bed for all the world to see, was a log. Left, wrapped and bundled in a blanket, with the word changeling for realsies carved on its surface.
So good, so real and convincing.
Yeah.
Nobody
For real.
noticed the prince's disappearance for 2 days. As third in line to the throne, Prince Hamilton isn't the most important royal in the kingdom of Keoland. He isn't the most doted upon. He isn't even the most, well, he's not the most anything, really. But he is missing, and it is a problem. Word of the prince's kidnapping began to spread even before his babysitters and protectors really even noticed the difference between him and a log.
Ugh, you gotta do a better background check.
Right.
No,
You need to hire some new babysitters.
And by the time that folks began to get worried, word had already spread down to the Sea Prince's hold that a prince of the kingdom has gone missing. And that if it was replaced by a log, there is really only one culprit that it could be. Because this sort of brazen switcheroo is clearly the work of Granny Nightshade, the Witch of the Dreadwood.
Yeah.
Granny Nightshade is an ancient and terrible night hag who dwells within the deepest parts of the Dreadwood. Her power is that of shadow and misdirection. She constantly seeks to expand her power from the center of the Dreadwood out to its very edges, and it is only the tireless vigilance of the Kingdom of Keoland and its sundry allies that keeps the hag from spreading her malevolent wickedness throughout the land. And now she's captured the prince. What her intentions are with this lordling remain to be seen. What is known is that if an enterprising group could recapture the prince, perhaps they too could have leverage over the kingdom of Keoland. Something to think on. Lulu Prodamica knows nothing about any of this.
Nope. She's clueless.
She has been wandering the land for quite some time at this point, going from forest to biome, looking for friends. I don't know how else to put that, really.
That's accurate.
Your explorations and adventures have brought you to the Dreadwood because there is a singular creature that you have never made friends with. A creature which upon informing your elders and contemporaries that of your intentions, looked at you with shock and pity and a little surprise. What that creature is, perhaps we'll find out over the course of this adventure, but you are determined to make friends with this entity. And the rumors you followed have brought you here to the Dreadwood. This large, spooky forest, known for its largeness and its spookiness. Coming to the edge of such a wood from the southern coast, you were dropped off on a boat at the small, rustic town of Saltmarsh. You made your way north, and eventually, while skirting the Hool Marshes, you found yourself at the edge of the Dreadwood. It's unimpressive, really, at the edge here. The trees are tall, the shadows are long, but it is still a woodland, and as a druid, you find yourself at home in such places. What is a little disconcerting is the campsite you come upon later in the afternoon as you make your way through the woods. You hear the muffled sounds of arguing as you come through the woodlands. There's a gruff voice. Another voice. And a third voice. You hear this in the distance. What do you do?
I think she would try to stealthily approach to see if she could like make out what they were arguing about before she decides if she's gonna like burst in and try to make friends.
Okay. Then give me a stealth roll.
Sure. Let's see. I'm not great at stealth. Let's see.
That's what I like to hear.
Oh, I got an 18 though.
18, excellent. Pressing forward, you creep close to the underbrush. It's not hard, thanks to your stature. Moving through the trees, you peer around a shrub. The underbrush isn't super dense here, but thankfully you are very small, especially compared to the three creatures that you see as you stick your head out around one of the large oak trees that dot the exterior of the woodlands. Three huge individuals, each of them over 6 feet tall, stand near a campfire that gutters with black smoke. They are all humanoid in appearance, though all of them are also way hairier than most humanoids you've encountered. One has a large, hunched, muscular shoulders of a bear, its head coming down between those shoulders in a short, rough muzzle, its lips torn, its ears frayed. This werebear clearly has seen lots of battle. The other is a lankier creature with long, coarse fur, curling horns, a muzzle that ends in like weird, jagged teeth coming out of its face a little bit, with horrible, square-pupiled eyes of a goat. This were-goat just like cackles and points. The third creature, not the biggest of the bunch, but seems to have the keenest eye about him, is a more hunched, gnarled creature, its arms twisted and its features wrapped around these giant tusks that curl up out of its snoot. This were-boar is speaking in low, guttural tones. A bear, a goat, and a boar. And they all stand around arguing, occasionally casting glances at the figure tied up just behind the fire. Princess Merrimack?
Oh, yeah. That's probably me, isn't it?
It's been a long couple of days.
Yeah.
Oh.
Your journey from the hold of the Sea Princes was fairly uneventful.
It's the ocean. I do that all the time.
Your dogged protector, Magna Vancia, was easily dodged as you made shorefall.
Yeah.
Her overzealous protections were beginning to chafe at you, something fierce. And as you came ashore, you too came to the town of Saltmarsh. And in the bustling fish markets there, you were able to slip your paladin's leash. You found your way northward, just as uneventfully. You heard rumors of gnarled fish folk in the Hool marshes and decided to stay well clear. You've heard of the prince's disappearance, and the money that might be gained from rescuing such an individual could very well fuel your rebellion within the Sea Prince's hold.
This is true.
So why be slowed down by a paladin?
I mean, like, she's gonna catch up. Like, we've been doing this song and dance for nigh a decade.
This is true. You're now regretting some of those decisions.
Yeah, maybe.
You've heard stories of the Dreadwood, of the strange creatures which lurk at its exterior, and the even stranger, more dangerous creatures that lurk at its interior. Granny Nightshade is a witch of enormous power, but you were pretty sure all of that was hyperbole.
Yeah.
You've faced sea hags before. How
Yeah,
different can they be?
Like the same thing.
Pretty much. It was on your first day into the woods, though, that a large mallet on the back of the head may have changed some of those opinions.
Yeah.
You sit now, tied, not gagged, but definitely bound, as your three captives argue over what to do with you.
Okay.
In your time here, you have learned that the werebear's name is Dum Dum, the weregoat's name is Dookie, and the wereboar's name is Dirt, spelled with a U.
Yeah. Excellent.
So that is what you see, Lulu, as you approach this woodland clearing.
And they're arguing about what to do with her?
It seems that way, yeah. As you grow closer, could you give me a perception check?
Yeah, absolutely. Let's see. That is 15.
15. You hear the werebear say,
I think we should just eat it and be done with it. There's no way Nana's not gonna say that.
the wereboar says,
What do you know about what Nana wants, eh?
and the weregoat says, eat, eat, eat.
So, I think, okay, Lulu clearly is feeling sorry for this tied up girl that she sees. I think she's gonna try to cast minor illusion, like in the opposite direction of where she is hiding. And I would like to make it a sound of she's gonna make like a male voice that shouts, I think they took her this way. To
Okay.
try and maybe like distract them to go and check it out.
Okay, excellent. What's the range on minor illusion? Just curious.
It's only 30 feet.
Okay, so right across the clearing,
Yeah.
and they all look up as this voice sounds, going,
I think even Merrimack is like,
Merrimack, give me an intelligence save.
13.
13. Yeah, it sounded close. Who could be looking for you, though?
Yeah, who the... God, did she organize a search party? Holy shit.
As you look around, the were boar will just like nudge the goat man and say,
Go check it out.
and the goat man will just like nod and go, check, check, and then scamper over into the woods and start like beating around the bushes. The werebear, seemingly of its own recognizance, will also wander over, going like,
Who's there? More food?
so it's just the werebore now, standing over the tied-up princess. He'll look down at you and say,
Sounds like some of your friends has come to join the feast.
I don't know. If it's who I think it is, she's gonna be pissed.
How close is, you said the werebore was the one that's left?
mm-hmm,
How close is the werebore to the princess?
maybe 10 feet away across a fire.
Okay. And am I behind? Could I like sneak up on the werebore, or are they facing where I would be coming from?
They have their back to you.
Okay. I'm gonna attempt to sneak within 10 feet of them and cast poison spray.
Nice.
I am a big fan of that, so give me a sneaking roll to see if you can get up on this guy.
Sure. Ooh, that's not great. Let me add a modifier, hopefully. That's a 9.
Well, it's a very good thing that this boar rolled a 3 on his perception check. So, right as you step on a twig that cracks under your foot, he lets out a large, horrendous fart as you approach from the rear that covers the sound of your approach.
A counter poison spray.
Yeah, yes, exactly. Poison spray for poison spray.
And he sort of scratches at his butt, lifting his pants up a little bit as you get close.
Lulu tries not to gag. Oh, man.
You're right up on top of him.
All right, yeah, I'm going to cast poison spray. He has to do a constitution saving throw with a DC of 14.
And if I could roll anything but a 3 today, that would be fantastic. So, that is a total of 5. So, I believe your poison spray gets all up in his business.
Yeah. All right, let's see. So he is going to take...
Let's see, your 6th level is 2d12?
I'm casting it as a... Oh, yeah, 2d12. You're right. Thank you.
Of course.
I only rolled 2d12. So I got a total of 13.
13. Very nice. So, Dum Dum turns... Or no, this would be Dookie. My apologies. That's why he farted.
Wait, I thought the goat was Dookie. I thought this was Dirt with a U.
You're
Dirt.
correct.
Okay.
So you took 13 poison damage?
Yes, he did.
All right. He lets out a gasping...
Oh, Lord. Oh, what did I eat?
And begins like clamping down on his big squiggly pig nose and is just like, oh, kind of like looking around, not quite sure what's going on. You have maybe a moment before he turns and sees you. Do you do anything else? Merrimack, you see all of this happening.
I'm poised. Well, let's see. So, question. I have several daggers on my person
Oh, yes.
as a privateer.
Definitely not a pirate.
Definitely not a pirate. Did they take my weapons when they knocked me out? My daggers, I mean.
I think we're going to need a sleight of hand roll to see just how many of your weapons they took.
Alrighty. Let's see, sleight of hand. That's a 16.
16. They didn't find all the daggers.
Oh, of course not. So, I would like to, while he is distracted, fish out one of those daggers and start trying to, stealthily and acrobatically uncut my hand bonds.
I heard you use the word acrobatically, and I
I
think that
did.
might have been on purpose.
It might have been on purpose. Who knows? Acrobatics.
Yes.
Let's see. That is a 15 this
15.
time.
All right. So you are working at your bonds. Lulu, you have a moment to do something as this were boar is turning.
Oh man. I almost want to try and cast Charm Person.
Trust your instincts.
Okay, yeah. She's gonna attempt to cast Charm Person on the boar, the wereboar.
Okay. What kind of saving throw?
It has to do with wisdom saving throw, DC 14.
Oh no. That is a natural 20. So you
Ooh.
wave your sparkly magic fingers and
What?
say whatever you say to try to attempt to cast Charm Person. And as this wereboar is like turning, still holding its nose, looks down at this tiny gnome neath its cloven feet and says, "What?" And now I need you both to roll initiative.
All right.
You gotta.
Oh, like a fool, I did not write down my initiative bonus. Remind me what it is again. It's just dexterity, right?
Just your dexterity unless you have the alertness feat.
Okay, I do not. Ooh.
So, I like to do initiative critical roll style. So, do we have anyone rolling 25 to 20? Solid no. 15 to 20?
19.
19. Very nice. 10 to 15? Oh boy.
Oh no. Oh no.
Do we have 5 to 10?
Yeah, I got an 8.
Okay.
Cool,
Excellent.
cool.
Big giant 8. Oh no.
So, Merrimack, you are up first.
Okay. What is the binding situation?
You are slowly working. You think you maybe have a round before you cut all the way through your bonds if you decide to devote your whole turn to doing that.
Okay. Is it just hands or is it feet too?
It's mostly just around from like waist to shoulders.
Okay. Yeah, I'm gonna do that. I gotta get out of this.
Okay.
I need
Excellent.
my hands.
Our goat and bear friend are still like beating through the bushes off in the distance. They will be returning at some point, but for now they are still busy. Mr. Dirt, though, will stare down at this gnome and just like with a confused look say,
Did you just try to magic me?
Oh, me? I don't know what you're talking about.
right, and he'll pull up this big hammer and like whack a gnome, just try to bring it straight down on you.
Oh no. That's not great.
That is a 12 to hit.
No, that does not hit.
Okay. You scamper to the side, and this big, large mallet hits the ground right next to you, throwing up a little cloud of debris. And he says,
Stay still.
Oh,
uh-oh, and I think Becca froze on us.
The suspense is killing me.
Oh, Lord. So, in the meantime, our good friends over in the woods are beating through. Mr. Dum Dum's like,
I don't see anyone.
Mr. Dookie is going, no one, as they look around for random folks. Oh, no. And Becca is just
boy.
super frozen. Quitting and coming back. The wonderful world of live streaming.
Sorry, my internet cut out.
It's all good.
Okay, I'm back. I'm here. Hi.
Mr. Bear and Mr. Goat are off in the woods looking for nobody. Mr. Boar has missed, and now that brings us to Lulu.
Okay. All right. So, Lulu. Give me 1 second to decide what she's gonna do.
Merrimack, you are on deck.
Yes.
She's a little scared. I think that is this boar wearing any like armor or anything like that?
He looks like he is wearing some slightly baggy pants. He would probably do well to invest in a belt, though. They keep slightly slipping.
Okay.
They're maybe sized for a different creature.
Got it. And that's it?
Seems to be it. Other than that, he has a lot of matted fur just covering his torso. Some of his muscles sort of bulge out through the fur a little bit. His big, gnarled shoulder comes up on one side. His boar face leaning forward. His little snout twitching back and forth, still trying to adjust past the poison.
Can I use my bonus action before I use my action, or does it have to be in that?
No, absolutely not. You can do whatever you like, whenever you like. Well, not whatever you like.
Well, cool. No, I kick his ass. No, she's gonna cast. I'm gonna cast Shillelagh. I never know how to say that.
Shillelagh.
Shillelagh. I'm gonna cast Shillelagh on my quarterstaff.
Very nice.
As my bonus action.
Absolutely.
And then I'm gonna swing it at him.
Swing away.
Okay, so I got a 15 plus. Ooh, I got 21.
21 is way more than you needed to hit the guy who is only wearing pants. Now, a very important question for Lulu, though, as your quarterstaff begins to glow with druidic magic. What color is Lulu's magic?
Oh, it's definitely green.
Okay, classic.
It's like sparkly green.
Excellent.
Yeah.
So this sparkling green quarterstaff comes flying through the air, trailing little bits of magic as it just collides with this guy.
Yeah. And it does 5 damage.
Oof. Slamming right into his exposed stomach, Mr. Dirt goes,
Oh, that little gnome's got a sting.
That will bring us, unless you'd like to move at all, Lulu, or are you staying where you are?
I think she's gonna stay where she is, yeah.
Okay, excellent. That will bring us back up to the top with Merrimack Glass.
All right. The bonds are broken.
Snap your ropes. Freed.
And
At least one dagger in your hand.
at least one dagger in my hand. Which can I drop that as a free action? Because I know putting it away counts
you
as
can
like
just
a full action.
Drop it, absolutely.
Yeah. And with a glimmering opalescent light, I summon my packed weapon.
Ooh. Now, please describe for our listeners what your packed weapon looks like.
My packed weapon is mechanically it is a halberd, but in terms of look, it is I believe it's pronounced bardiche, bardiche. Because halberds are more pointy. This has like a big ass blade on the end of it, and it is like almost an opal, like it's a weird opalescent looking metal. Got some like bluish kind of shine to it. Yeah.
All right. This long, bladed, spear-like halberd appears in your hand, coalescing out of silvery light and forming into this weapon. You hear the low hum of the moons in your ear.
Yes. And I attack.
Rushing straight around the fire, you go straight for the rear of Mr. Dirt.
Yeah.
All right. You are coming up right into this boar's behind, and I think that means you have advantage on this attack roll.
Ooh.
As you become flanking with your
Yes.
erstwhile ally.
Oh wow, neither of those are amazing though. Let's see. 14.
14's still going to do it. He is
Yeah, he's
just wearing pants.
He is just wearing pants. Okay, and that is a 1d10. And that is 10 damage.
Nice.
And Thirsting Blade, I'm going to attack again.
Oh, lordy.
Nice.
Oh, that's a nat 20.
Wah, 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 wah. So, on a natural 20, one of my personal house rules that I use is what is called epic crits, to add an air of danger and menace to this dread fairy tale that we find ourselves on. Critical hits will do excessive amounts of damage. So, rather than simply doubling the dice or doubling what you roll, please tell me what is the absolute most you could do on a critical hit.
The most damage I could do is 12, 1d10 plus 2.
Okay, so we have our 12 as a baseline. Now, please roll and add that to the 12.
Let's see, that is 9 plus 12. That is going to be
21.
21, yeah.
Holy bananas.
So, as this halberd comes streaking out, there is this slight choir-like song that pierces the air as it swings through, straight through this wereboar's rear side, and it lets out a
Food's gotten out.
Now let me give perception checks to our two wandering friends to see if they've noticed the ruckus in the distance. Wow, those are bad rolls. In the distance, Mr. Dum Dum goes,
Are you all set?
and Mr. Dookie goes, Nat, Nat. And Mr. Dum Dum says,
Yeah, it's probably nothing. Wonder where that voice went.
Weird.
Lulu, we are over. Actually, no.
Oh,
Merrimack, did you have something else?
yeah, I'm gonna use my Polar Master feat and attack one more time.
Oh, Lord. Okay.
With the butt of my weapon. It's
of
not
the-
gonna be much if it hits, so
One
it's
of
fine.
those kinds of characters. All right.
I'm assuming I don't have advantage anymore.
I mean, you're still flanking.
Oh, that's true.
I don't know why you wouldn't.
Wow, one of those was a botch. So, I mean, it's an 18. I rolled an 18, so I'm assuming that, regardless of what I add to that, it's gonna work.
That is a solid assumption and a correct one at that.
Yeah. Okay. And that only does 4 damage.
4
Bludgeoning.
damage. All right. So with the back end of your halberd, whap, whap, whap.
Yeah.
Mr. Dirt is not looking good, and it is going to get over to his turn, and he's going to look around like,
Guys! Guys!
and start shouting in earnest. And he is going to try to run. So the two of you are welcome to make attacks of opportunity as he just lifts up his hammer and tries to scoot out from in between the two of you.
Yeah.
Definitely doing that.
For sure. Yeah, it's a 21.
21's
I
going to
got
hit.
24.
Oh, boy. So, we've got a shillelagh and a halberd coming straight in.
Yeah.
And that's 7 damage on my part.
And I realized I forgot to add my wisdom modifier last time to my damage.
Oh, Lord.
But that's a really crummy roll. I did 6 damage this time.
6 damage, alright. Just looking battered and slashed and like the saddest giant wereboar you've ever seen who was just planning on eating somebody you've just met. It scampers away and moves towards the woods as he's shouting,
Run! Run! A scary thing came out of the woods! Oh!
and Mr. Dookie and Mr. Dumber was like,
What's that? Run!
and Mr. Dookie says, Run! Run! And they start crashing through the underbrush in the opposite direction. Mr. Dirt constantly pulling up his pants as he flees.
Yes.
Of course. I think Lulu would look up at uh Princess Merrimack, and she looks really impressed because that was some kick-ass fighting. And she says, that was amazing.
Uh, and like, right, like the anime moment of like looking down at this gnome and like the sun. Well, there's probably no sun coming through the trees.
You're still on the edge of the woods. There's still a little bit of sun.
Yeah, gleaming off of her blonde hair and uh, eye patch over one eye, just kind of smirks and is like, "You were pretty good yourself."
So as the three werefolk flee into the woods, you get this first moment to take in the two of each other's appearances as you look over each other. Why don't you describe to our viewers what your characters look like as you appraise each other?
So Lulu is she's short even for a gnome, but she's heartily built. Um
Chunky.
yeah, she she's got light green eyes. She's got brown hair that's like really frizzy and kind of wild. It's like kind of curly wavy. She has like an oversized fur coat that's made out of bear hide. And it's kind of hard to tell. It's like a very similar color to her hair. It's kind of hard to tell where her coat begins and her hair ends. She's got like a lot of random stuff in her pockets, which makes her look like even more puffy and like big. Um,
Oh my god, it's so
and
good.
She has a necklace that has like a giant colorful looking scale on it that is she's wearing around her neck. And her druidic focus is like a wand. So when she's casting spells, she's like waving around this wand that's made out of willow.
Nice.
Just got to swish and flick.
Exactly.
As I mentioned, Merrimack has like long, like wavy blonde hair, like naturally blonde. Um, it's like, I mean, she looks like she's been on the ocean for a while. Like her skin is fairly tanned from being out on the ship. She has very pronounced freckles on her face. She does have an eye patch covering one eye, and there is a scar peeking out from both sides, top and bottom. Wearing pretty standard like pirate privateer outfit. The boots, the pants, a sash, a waistcoat, and billowy top. It's very, very classic. And she is wearing a large spiral shell around her neck with a jewel embedded in it, which is her arcane focus.
Nice.
So that is what you see as the wereboar flees from between you, as the two of you appraise one another. Human and gnome staring, well met in battle.
Yes.
I think Lulu would kind of like reach out her hand to shake yours and say, I'm Lulu, and this is Pork Chop." And when she says that, this big, like, drooly mastiff, he comes like out of the underbrush, basically, where he's kind of been hiding this whole time. He's tan colored and he's got like black ears, and black around his eyes and his muzzle.
During the entire fight sequence, we would occasionally cut to Porkchop, pause over his nose as the sounds of battle are erupting in the distance.
Yeah.
Excellent.
And yeah, so she introduces herself and Porkchop comes out and like probably maybe drools on Merrimack's feet a little.
That's fine. He's a good boy. I love him already. Makes me miss my ship, the ship dog.
Shipped? Okay, moving on.
There are dogs on ships. They chase like vermin and stuff. I'm almost 90% sure.
Yeah.
There was one on the Lewis and Clark expedition. I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah, Merrimack kind of squats, I guess, and shakes your hand.
Yeah.
Not sure if that's yeah. And kind of scratches Pork Chop's ear and says, "I'm Princess Merrimack Glass. It's good to meet you. You came just in the nick of time, it seems."
Well, I'm glad I found you. What were you even doing around this area? Not the most friendly area.
She stands up and puts her hands on her hips and says, "I'm on a quest. A prince has been kidnapped, and I'm gonna rescue him, and then maybe ransom him. I haven't quite decided yet."
Wow. Do you know any idea who kidnapped him?
Some hag called Granny Nightshade, I think.
Would Lulu have heard of Granny Nightshade before? Or is she...
I think I will need a history check to see if you've heard of Granny Nightshade or not.
Oh, good call. History. Okay. So... That's a 9.
9. You're vaguely familiar with the concept of hags.
Okay.
And
Fair.
Granny Nightshade definitely sounds like a hag name. So it all tracks.
Okay. That doesn't sound like an easy task. Are you by yourself?
Yes. I do have a bodyguard, I guess, but she'll catch up eventually. It's probably fine.
Oh, do you want some company in the meantime?
Sure, you seem like you're a lot of fun, so
Hey, you seem like a real handy person to have around if things get hairy in these woods.
as do you.
Well, thank you.
When Lulu says, when things get hairy in these woods, there is an audible sigh from somewhere.
Little sad.
I did you hear that?
I did.
Can I do a maybe like an investigation check to see if I can determine the direction of the sigh?
Sure.
Okay. So, ooh, that's gonna be a good one. 17, 18.
18. The sigh definitely came from deeper in the woods. It seemed to just brush up on a breeze that rolled out from the deeper woods. Its origin doesn't have a direct source that you can see, but that noise was just carried on a cold breeze that rushed out of the woods. And it seemed to be really judgmental of the pun you just made.
Yeah, well.
So, you find yourselves at the edge of the Dreadwood. The camp of the werefolk abandoned, at least for now. Merrimack, you know that rumor has it that Granny Nightshade dwells within the deepest part of the Dreadwood. Precisely what direction that is, well, it's a little outside your expertise, but you always figured, hey, how big can these woods actually be?
Yeah.
It's not like it's the size of the ocean or anything. That's huge. And you get around that easily.
Yeah.
What are forests but the small oceans of the land?
Yes. That is exactly. I think Merrimack says that at some point.
Nice. Did the were creatures leave anything behind when they abandoned their camp that we could like?
You see that they have left behind several days' worth of rations, a large bucket of some sort of liquid that smells vaguely of paint thinner.
Oh. Hard drinkers, these ones.
Ah,
And a small collection of what looks like tiny carved figurines in a small bag that you find.
carved out of like wood?
Yeah. They seem to be tiny little carvings of vaguely animal forms. There's about a dozen of them in this tiny little bag.
I think Lulu would like wander over and um I think she would take half of the rations and then like hold up the rest, like, or point to the rest and offer them up to Merrimack.
Yeah, sure. It's always good to have extra rations.
Yeah.
And this is like mealy hardtack that's just like worked into bars. They're basically Cliff Bars. That's how I've always imagined rations.
Yeah, totally. Um, do you have any interest in these little figurines?
No, I'm not sure what they are. I think I'd like to investigate them, though.
That sounds like a good idea.
Sounds like someone's angling for an investigation roll.
Yeah, it's probably not going to be... that's a botch.
They're certainly made of wood.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
Lulu. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Yeah, these sure are figurines.
Lulu would like to also investigate them,
Sure, absolutely.
and she got a 15.
They seem to be little totemic animals of some kind. If you had to guess, there is not a pattern per se, but there is a theme to them. They all seem to be four-legged animals of one kind or another. There's little rough interpretations of deer, there's bears, boars, goats. They're all four-legged animals of some kind. They're all mammals of some kind. And you're not quite sure what importance they might have to a creature who made them, but they may or may not be significant to somebody's animalistic religion.
Fair. Lulu gestures to the figurines and says, "Do you mind if I?" And kind of like points.
No, it's no, you're good.
I'm gonna tuck them away in one of my many, many, many pockets
Okay.
in my fur coat.
They're tucked away in your deep-pocketed cloak. Not to be confused with a cloak of deep pockets.
Correct.
This is a different thing.
Different thing
Yeah.
entirely.
Yes, yes, yes.
So, having successfully looted the camp, what do you do?
My camp is nearby, right?
You hadn't really had time to set up a camp before the hammer to the back of the head sort of
Okay.
made things a little fuzzy.
Okay. Hope I wasn't unconscious for too long. That's super bad for you. Yeah, well, there's probably still some daylight left. I'm going to press on into the woods. You're free to accompany me if you'd like.
Yeah, I think that sounds great. I mean, I don't have a lot going on at this moment. I'd love to come with you.
And Pork Chop makes some happy panting sounds.
Definitely.
What a good boy.
Pork Chop is like bigger than Lulu, just like to help everyone picture this.
Oh, this is like peak large woofy dog.
Yeah. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
So you said he was a Great Dane?
No, he's a Mastiff.
Mastiff, that's it. Other big floppy dog.
Other big, yeah, the other one, the other big fluffy dog, the big drooly, lovable dum-dum.
So, pressing into the deeper wood you go. The outside edges of the Dreadwood are not that much different than many other forests you may have been to. Merrimack, I don't know exactly how many forests you've been to, so this may be an entirely new experience.
Yeah, I don't really know what the ecology of the, Sea Prince Hold Islands are, so I'm imagining
some
not a
jungles,
lot of forests.
but
yeah.
Nothing in the way of this sort of larger deciduous trees that you're encountering now. Pines and oaks are definitely in this quantity at least, are definitely a new experience.
I'm picturing like as they're walking, Lulu is pointing out like, and you can eat those, but don't eat those, and those are poisonous, and that means a snake lives there. Like she,
Lulu, could you give
Merrimack,
me a survival check?
oh yeah, sure. 13.
13. Okay. Almost all of this information is true and useful.
Good.
Merrimack is like trying to commit some of this stuff to memory because, like, yeah, this is not her wheelhouse. So she's like definitely like deferring, but she's not gonna remember it like any of it. You
Totally
got,
fair.
I can't sacrifice the knots, the
Yeah.
memory space I have for all the knots I have to tie.
Yeah.
As you are trekking through the woods, you're not necessarily following a trail outside of maybe the occasional game trail that you stumble across. There isn't a road or a path that leads into the deeper reaches of the Dreadwood. This is just hiking cross-country. Occasionally, you're pushing your way through underbrush. Sometimes you're just walking amidst these larger and larger trees as you press forward. Looking at a map from the air, one might see the Dreadwood as this big stretch of darkness that borders the southern edge of the Kingdom of Kioland. How precisely that scales to where you need to go and where you are now is a question that, Lulu, I don't think you've ever asked, and Merrimack, you have no real bearing on the scale of such things.
No, and like when I was in Saltmarsh, like nobody has a map of this place, so like
How it appears on most maps is a big dark blotch that just
exactly.
says Dreadwood.
There's no like, oh yeah, this is where you go to get to Granny Nightshade's house. Like nobody goes there.
If you go there, it is for the express purpose of trying to stop monsters from getting out of there.
Yeah.
There are roads that lead through the Dreadwood, but they are on the far sides of the Dreadwood, whereas you are trying to pierce to the interior.
Mm-hmm.
As you are moving, I need you both to give me perception checks.
Okay.
I'm not necessarily going to ask for a marching order. I'm kind of figuring you're walking side by side.
23.
15.
15, very nice. As you begin moving, you know that you probably have a couple more hours of daylight left, just based on the time of year and your experiences with the movement of the sun. But you notice that there is a preeminent darkness that has begun just like drifting around you. It's not necessarily strange per se. With the increased cover of the trees, it's more than natural for things to grow darker. What is strange is the slowly decreasing sound of animal noises.
Mm.
The chitter of squirrels begins to diminish. Bird song begins to fade. Lulu, what you know here that is immediately apparent is trailing behind you a distant, gruff, and familiar voice going,
Is it, do I recognize it as the voice of the werebore?
It very well might be. It is still distant, but it is behind you, and it seems to be following.
I think Lulu would definitely stop and like hold her hand out to Merrimack and whisper, I think we're being followed.
Should we set up an ambush?
Yeah, that's a good idea. Can we set up like a trap?
Merrimack says, I don't know about a trap, but check this shit out. And she moves into the shadow like a shadow of a tree nearby, and boom, I'm invisible. One with the shadows.
I'm assuming this is some kind of Eldritch Invocation.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
That's amazing.
I do not know all of your spooky warlock powers, so I'd appreciate a brief explanation when you use them.
Yes, so one with the shadows is an Eldritch Invocation. When you are in an area of dim light or darkness, use your action to become invisible until you move or take an action or reaction.
Yes, and that is precisely what happens. So,
I think Lulu like looks around and she's real confused.
It's me. I'm invisible.
That's awesome.
You should go hide too.
Got it. And she's gonna try and find like a bush or a tree to hide behind and
okay. Yeah, give me
try
a stealth roll.
Sure. That's a nat 1.
Oh no.
So, Lulu, you get over to a bush and hunker down. And Merrimack, from your point of view, it seems like she's doing a pretty good job, except for the large tail wagging, sticking out of the bush. The large rear end of the dog just sticking right out into the game trail you've been following, quickly wagging back and forth. Porkchop's enjoying whatever this game is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Pork chop.
I think when he hears his name, his ears probably perk up and he like looks in your direction, I would guess.
Big panting dog, kind of like tearing away bits of shrub as it gets like caught on his.
Oh, buddy.
Just like this huge dog is completely oblivious of the fact that he's tearing up this shrub, and just like looks
Yeah.
back at you with a big panty face.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Meanwhile, Lulu's just like kind of frozen behind this shrub as though trying to blend in the background, sort of doing the cardboard cutout thing behind a a piece of scenery.
Yep. Yep.
And Merrimack, now you begin to hear the voice in the distance.
I think that was this way. Yeah.
Oh no.
It's all three of them. Shoot.
What do? Continue to wait?
Ugh.
Like looking at what I can do.
Yeah.
As 6th level characters, you have so much available to you.
We do have a
I
lot.
know.
As you are like sitting and contemplating what comes next, Merrimack, very aware that as soon as these guys come around a bend in the trail, they're going to see the big
The
waggy-tailed dog just standing right in the middle of everything.
Yeah.
As you do, the voices suddenly get quiet. And birdsong returns to the air. There's a chitter of a squirrel nearby.
That's suspicious as hell.
Yes, it is. Oh. Are there any like Are there any birds or any like creatures that are coming this way besides them? I'm wondering if I could use my ability to like speak with woodland creatures basically to see if they can help me figure out what just happened.
Sure, absolutely.
Okay, because I'm a circle of the shepherd druid, so I have speech of the woods.
Mm-hmm.
It says beasts understand my speech. I can decipher their noises and motions. A friendly beast could relay what it has seen or heard in its recent past.
Okay. You see a large red squirrel in a tree just above you, and it seems to be, like, sitting there, absolutely silent, looking at the forest around.
She's gonna try to, like, get its attention. Like, maybe can she make some squirrel noises or, like,
Yeah, sure, absolutely. You can make some squirrel noises.
Becca cannot make
Yeah.
squirrel noises.
So,
But
Lulu lets out a little chittering sound, and the squirrel will, like, look down at you, very concerned, and then begin, like, slowly scrabbling down the tree and look at you very suspiciously.
I think I'm gonna, like, maybe break off a little bit of one of the rations that I took from their campsite and maybe, like, very slowly and cautiously kind of, like, spread it on the ground, maybe in front of me. Just
Okay.
a little crumbs of it.
Give me an animal handling roll.
Sure, I am great at those.
That's good.
Let's see. Oh, but not when I roll an 8. Okay, what do I add? Sorry. So it's an 8 plus. So that's a 14.
14. The squirrel will cautiously come down. Its eyes are constantly going to Porkchop, very aware of this huge dog.
Yep.
Coming down, it will dart over to a little bit of the rations, grab a little bit of it, and dart back up to the tree. So it's right above your eye height, and it's just sort of just like munching on it with one little paw while it's clinging to the side of the tree.
Yeah. I'm gonna say it to a squirrel. uh, we're friendly. We won't hurt you. I promise. What do you know? What is going on in the woods over there? And she gestures towards where the voices were coming from.
And it'll glance that way, glance back at you, and say, "Wrong sounds."
Did you say wrong? Wrong sounds?
Wrong sounds.
I noticed. Has that ever happened before?
Yes. Wrong sounds. Not squirrels. Not birds. Wrong sounds. And you listen in the distance and you hear the sounds of, like, chattering squirrels and bird song. But this squirrel is just, like, very silent and very still and looking at you very, kind of frantic.
I say, wrong sounds right now?
Yes.
What are the right sounds?
And it seems very confused by that.
Yeah, fair. Oh. Is it dangerous?
Yes. Wrong sounds. Give me both of you give me an investigation check if you could.
Okay.
Ooh, that's a good roll.
That's a 3.
I got an unnatural 20.
Focusing on the sounds as it was brought to your attention by the squirrel, you listen for a long second, and after about 30 seconds, you hear the loop. The sounds are being repeated. It's like someone got a 30-second clip of forest wild noise, and it's just playing it over and over and over again. Merrimack, you can't hear the difference.
Yeah, I'm just like, what are you doing?
Lulu. Before she relays this information to Merrimack, she's gonna ask the squirrel one more question. Is it a trap?
The squirrel says, "No, hunt." It hunts. And then it will dart down, grab some more food, and then dart back up the tree.
She's gonna, like, quietly, like, all the way up the tree, or it's still within talking range?
It's getting the way with its prize.
Oh, okay. She's gonna like, thank you. Uh, and then and then she's gonna kind of like whisper across the way to Merrimack. The squirrel says something is hunting, and the sounds it's not real. It's not. They're repeating. It's like on a loop.
Hmm.
The squirrel said is the wrong sounds, and then it's dangerous.
Okay.
Merrimack, you take all of this in as this gnome claimed to have talked to the squirrels.
Magic. I got a moon halberd. It's stuff happens.
Fair.
Okay. I have another plan. I got a couple more tricks up my sleeve. Oh, I forgot I'm invisible. I was gonna say, come over here. Hold on. Merrimack darts over to where Lulu is, becoming visible once again. Can you have Pork Chop just stay here?
Yeah.
Okay.
And she has some command that is non-verbal, and Pork Chop sits.
It's the 2 fingers against the thumb, pointed straight up. It's that classic dog, like, trainer, kind of like...
Yeah.
Dog whisperer, kind of like,
Yeah.
And he'll just, like, sit down in the middle of the... Looking around, very pleased with himself.
Good boy.
Yeah. Good boy. Yeah.
May I pick you up?
Yeah, go for it.
Cool. And I activate my winged boots.
Okay. And you're attempting to carry your gnomish friend while you fly?
Yes.
Okay. I will say it's a little bit more difficult to carry another possibly struggling individual while you're in flight, so your flying speed will be halved while carrying another person.
Okay.
This is only possible because Lulu is a gnome.
Yes. And I would like to go up and back towards the way we came, just to try to get a vantage point that maybe we could be hidden during.
Okay.
Vaguely. They're not going to expect us to be flying, so probably.
How high up would you like to be?
Maybe high enough that I could land on a sturdy branch.
Okay. With these
If
sorts
that's
of
possible.
trees, that's probably about 30, 35 feet up
Okay.
before you can find a branch that... I mean, the lowest branches are pretty high here.
Yeah. That's fair.
And as you flip back towards where you think they might have been coming from, and eventually find a sturdy branch, you are met with a very strange sight as you land, having stopped when you detected motion coming through the woods. Staring towards that motion, you see a very strange procession seemingly following your trail. The sounds of the woodlands here, the chattering of squirrels, the bird song, Lulu, that you know is a loop, is very, very loud here. You see a wrinkly old woman leading a goat, a huge boar, and what looks like a medium-sized sun bear in a little procession, just going down the woods as though it's nobody's business in the world. And they're out for a casual stroll. This old lady, her pet pig, goat, and bear.
And do they look like the same? I mean, Lulu's gonna assume that they're the same bear, goat, and boar that they saw before, but maybe no longer in their were form. Is that what we're looking at?
It's tough to say. You're about 35 feet up, staring down at this strange little wagon train of animals and old lady. She is trooping down the forest, seemingly finding safe paths for her old, tired feet, leaning a little bit on a staff as she clumps around. Occasionally, she'll turn and with a kindly hand say, "Come along, come along." As the bear, boar, and goat just follow her in descending size order.
So Becca remembers that that they mentioned someone called Nana. Would Lulu remember that?
I think that would be an intelligence roll on Lulu's part.
Got it.
Can I make one as well?
Sure.
Okay.
That's a nat 20.
Ooh.
Oh, shit. I got a 12.
Lulu would remember that there was a mention of a Nana.
She's gonna whisper real quietly to Merrimack. The creatures that captured you mentioned Nana. Do you think that's them and her?
I mean, I got a 12 on that roll, so I don't know. You gotta tell me, dog.
Merrimack gives you a hearty shrug.
I mean, it's possible.
Did they say anything else about Nana while they had you captured?
Do I have to make another roll for that, or am I still operating under...
If they said anything, you don't remember it.
Yeah.
Concussions are a hell of a drug.
That's true.
Fair.
So yeah, Merrimack just gives another big hearty shrug.
Hmm.
And this kind old lady leading this procession of animals moves beneath the tree below you, steadily clomping along. You can see that there's a big, what looks like sheep bell attached to the top of her stick that's like clonking as she moves, like a clunk, 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 just unevenly through the woods. The forest sounds are very loud as she passes beneath you. But up in the trees, you notice the absolute and total lack of squirrels and birds.
Listen, you saved my life, and you know more about the woods in general than I do, and I'm willing to take your lead.
Okay. I almost just want to watch and see if she does anything unusual. Like, Lulu's getting all sorts of creepy vibes from this woman, or at least Becca is. Um, how far is she from like where Porkchop is? 'Cause she was-
Probably about 100 feet out. 150 feet, maybe. If she winds through the woods in a circuitous fashion the way you did.
And is she gonna just like, does she look like she's gonna stumble right upon him?
Oh, I mean, he wasn't subtle. He was just
Yeah.
sitting out in the middle of... So, the odds are pretty good they're going to find the big panty dog.
Okay. As kind of like a test, give me 1 second. Let me look at my list here. I'm gonna cast Conjure Animals.
Okay.
Ooh, how far above them are we?
About 35 feet.
Okay, cool. So the range on this is 60 feet.
Perfect.
Let me see what I can... Challenging. Lower. So she kind of wants to do something. Do you know what? I bet. Yeah, she can conjure a mastiff. Um,
A different mastiff.
a different, yeah. She's she's gonna conjure a different mastiff.
Hmm.
Um, kind of like if she can, maybe like 15 feet in front of them, not directly in their path, so it doesn't look like it's coming out of nowhere,
Mm-hmm.
but kind of off to the side of their path.
Okay. Now, if your real mastiff is named Pork Chop, is this one's named Steak?
I think if my real mastiff is named Pork Chop, this one has to be named like Veggie Burger.
Okay.
Like,
This one's
This
name
one's-
is Portobello.
It's
yes,
beyond beef.
yes, yes.
Portobello's
Yeah,
very good,
I
though.
do like Portobello. This is Portobello the Mastiff.
Pork Chop and Portobello. I love it.
So good.
Now I want two Mastiffs for real.
So, Portobello apparates into appearance a little ways down the path and does what?
I let's see. Do I have control over what they do?
You can give it commands, yes.
Okay, yes, I can. Oh, she's gonna feel kind of bad for this, actually. But she's gonna tell it to wander onto the path in front of them.
Okay. As they are wandering beneath you and you cast a spell, because I believe conjure woodland animals. Is that what the spell is? Is conjure woodland creatures?
Just conjure animals.
Conjure animals. Requires verbal, somatic, and material components, yes?
Just verbal and somatic.
Okay, well, it's still, you have to say something out loud and make some gestures, and
Yes.
it is an interesting prospect to do that while you're being held in the arms of a flying pirate princess, which,
Totally fair.
Lord, D&D is amazing.
It is so good. It's such a good game.
The best visual.
So,
I'm just holding you like a big old, like a teddy bear, like an oversized teddy bear.
Yes. And with her fur coat, she probably feels like a teddy bear.
Yeah.
Her
So-
bearskin coat.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I forgot, actually.
Yeah. She's totally. She might as well have ears. Little bear ears.
the casting of this spell is not a subtle thing, unfortunately. So,
Uh-oh.
we are about to see if anyone on the ground notices the casting of this spell.
Oh no.
Wowzers, Bowsers. So, you cast a spell, and Portobello appears in the path down and, like, rushes out to greet these people that approach. There is an amazing and sudden rush of violence as the bear, the boar, and the goat rush and surge forward, morphing and warping into their hybrid humanoid forms, and just fall suddenly on Portobello in a brutal display of violence. It is only saved by the fact that when Portobello dies, it disappears in a puff of green magic. Meanwhile,
Literally
the old
devastated.
lady face palms the hardest you've ever seen anybody face palm
Dumbass.
as she turns her head up and looks directly at you.
Oh shit.
And I think it is there that we are going to begin our break, because Dreadwood Fairytales will return in about 10 minutes. And when we come back, I think you've drawn the attention of Nana, whoever that
no.
may be. In the meantime, all of our viewers can check out the awesome schedule of other shows here on the Greyhawk channel over on the Twitch sidebar. I'm not sure which direction I need to be pointing in, but it is somewhere, and you can find all sorts of shows that happen all throughout the week. You can also find the links to our Discord page and Twitter to check in with us socially, so please, I encourage you to go do that. We will be back in just a little while. Please stay tuned.
Okay.
Nana Rotgum will see to them, I think. And welcome back to Dreadwood Fairytales. When we last left our adventurers, they had dealt with Mr. Dum-Dum, Mr. Dookie, and Mr. Dirt at the edge of the Dreadwood, and having trekked further in, they soon discovered that those erstwhile werefolk are still on their trail, coming in hot, led by a strange, pleasant-looking old woman who is definitely not suspicious at all in the presence of these werefolk as they just brutally beat this fey spirit dog into poofing non-existence. As Portobello so briefly joined this world.
Gone but not forgotten.
Gone but
That's
not
right.
forgotten. So the two of you, frozen, watching above as these were-creatures that had been disguised as their animalistic forms suddenly turned to their hybrid forms, assaulted this magical dog, as the woman who led them just sighed and then glanced up at you, completely aware that someone had just summoned this dog using magic. So this old woman will stare up at you, glance over at her werefolk companions who are just like looking around like, "Oi, where'd the dog go? Oh, I don't know. Nah, gone.
Oh my god.
And she'll glance up at you and say, there's no real convenient lie for this one,
Yeah, not really.
Would you believe that I'm just a little old lady lost in the woods and these strange animals decided to follow me?
I mean, we've been watching for a while.
Yeah.
And
Oh.
also, yeah, the whole dog thing.
Yeah, not happy about that dog.
Problematic, to be sure. Okay. Well, in that case, boys, and the three were-people will turn and look towards the old woman, and she'll just point up at the tree. Just straight up at the two of you.
Yeah.
And what do? As the werefolk are just like very clearly unsure about what they're being commanded to do.
I am going to. How like close to each other are all of them?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, they're right all on top of each other, within 15 feet. They were all just surrounding a fey mastiff that just poofed.
Okay. But like the were folk and Granny or whoever, this strange old woman. How far away are they from each other?
Oh, probably 20 feet away.
20 feet. Okay. Okay. Well, I am going to. Yeah, it's time to make an entrance. I am going to cast Thunderstep.
Okay.
Yeah. I am going, the range is 90 feet, so I am going to teleport myself to within 10 feet of the werefolk.
Okay.
And a thunderous boom does go off, and it can be heard up to 300 feet away, so that's something.
Yes.
But they do have to make a Constitution saving throw.
Well, they would if they had been standing where you teleported from.
What?
Is that how that works? Does
Thunderstep.
that mean
Oh, it's the space you left. Oh,
Mhm.
dunk.
Yes.
Oh, can I
Oh,
not
okay.
do that then?
Your character would be aware of this, though.
Okay.
Because
Yeah,
if
yeah.
you know Thunderstep, you would know how it works.
I'm sorry, I can't read.
It's okay. That's what I'm here
Also,
for.
I'm a little relieved to not be left in a
Oh no,
tree.
you would be coming. It says I can carry anything
Oh.
with me that
Oh,
doesn't
cool.
exceed what I can carry. Oh, it says objects.
Oh.
Oh, I thought that was just anything. Anyway, maybe not that. Eldritch Blast.
The old classic.
Yes.
I cast it at this old woman. So, let's see. That is a ranged spell attack. Okay. That is a 15.
15 will not hit. The
Oh,
old
bummer.
woman will take a hard step back on the path and just like look up at you with like a very like face of just like, how would you, did you even? And then she'll look back down at the three werefolk as they all just stare looking at her in confusion, and she'll say, "Climb the tree." And they all go, "Oh."
Okay.
So the werefolk begin moving to the bottom of the tree.
Okay. Can Lulu cast Moonbeam at the three werefolk?
Sure, as they reach the bottom of the tree.
Yes.
That sounds like a grand plan.
Yes. So they have to make a Constitution saving throw. It does say, and I don't know if this would count for werefolk, it does say a shape changer makes its saving throw with disadvantage.
Oh my, this is one of the least known properties of Moonbeam.
This is true.
The fact that
Yes.
it does extra special damage against shapeshifters.
Yes.
Okay, that's good to know. Well, all right then. Is it disadvantage, you say?
Disadvantage is a Constitution saving throw, and the DC is 14.
Well, that is unfortunate for them, I think.
It says if they fail, they instantly revert to its original form and can't assume a different form until they leave the spell's light.
Wow. All right. So, you see these three werefolk begin to climb the bottom of the tree. And what's the radius on Moonbeam?
It's a 5-foot radius.
Okay. So, you could maybe only catch two of them in the radius of this thing. Which two do you want to get?
Okay. I would love to get the bear and the boar.
Okay. So, Mr. Dum Dum and Mr. Dirt are caught in this moonbeam, and seeing as how our highest saving throw was a 12, they are both going to get caught in this ray of... Is it still green? Is your moonbeam still this, like kind of
Yes.
a lighter green as it rains down?
Yeah, like a light green and so many sparkles.
Excellent.
All the sparkles.
Yes.
And this beam jets down out of nowhere, coating the bear and the boar, and they are both struck by this moonbeam. So they are going to be taking the moonbeam damage, whatever that is.
Yes.
3d10.
Oh, no.
Yeah. Let's see. 3d10. Oh, that's not great. Where did it go? Let's see. They are taking 11 damage.
11. So you can see that Mr. Dirt, the were-boar, was still pretty hurt from your last encounter. He may have, like, patched up a little bit, having bound some of his wounds, but he is still very much not at tip-top condition. So this... oh, he's just not having a good day when it comes to gnomes and their shiny magic. And both of them, when they're coated with this moonbeam, suddenly revert to, does it say their original form?
It says, let me get back to it real quick.
Okay.
Yeah, original form and cannot assume a different form until they leave the spell's light.
Okay, so you see Mr. Dum Dum transform back into a bear and just continue to clutch straight at the base of the tree, just shocked at this sudden transformation back to being a bear. You then see Mr. Dirt be a boar. And boars ain't good at climbing trees.
No, they're not.
It's
Nope.
little hoofy legs trying to scramble against the bark for a second, and then it goes and falls tumbling backwards. Maybe only about 10 feet, but that's still enough to do a little damage as it falls, as it thumps to the ground, still within your moonbeam. Lets out a very confused and angry and
Fair.
off to the side, Nana will say, "Of course."
And then can I use my bonus action? Give me 1 second, let me decide. I would like to use my bonus action to cast Spirit Totem, which is one of my Circle of the Shepherd abilities.
Of course. Which spirit totem
I'm-
are you bringing out?
That's what I need to decide real quick. I'm gonna do the. I'm gonna summon the Spirit Totem of the Hawk. And so what this looks like is I create an aura in a 30-foot radius around a point that I choose.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna have both Merrimack and I are in this point. I mean, a 30-foot radius is actually pretty big. We're probably, can I make all of us in it?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. And so I'm summoning this this like spirit hawk basically. If a creature makes an attack versus a target that's inside of this aura, I can use my reaction to grant advantage to that attack.
Ooh.
And then I think it's creatures I choose have advantage on wisdom checks also inside the aura.
Nice.
That's a good aura.
It's a dang good aura.
Yes. So this spirit hawk is here.
Craw! It's that big raptor flare that you see whenever Jean Grey is just going whole hog in Phoenix mode.
Yeah.
Except it's like sparkly and green and flaring out from this tiny fur-covered gnome.
Yes.
Excellent.
And the goat man who is still climbing will look back down at Nana and like let out a little meh, like uncertain bleat, and Nana will go, "I don't care if the gnome's got spirit magic. Get your furry butt up there." Oh my, we're being rated on Twitch. Good lord.
I guess, yeah, I don't know what that means.
It means a bunch of people are showing up out of nowhere.
Oh, dang.
Hi, everybody.
Hello.
Here.
Welcome to Dreadwood Fairytales. Our players are at the top of a tree. They are being attacked by werefolk, and this little old lady who really is just looking to have a normal day is commanding those werefolk to kill.
I don't think that, I mean, a normal day for her maybe, but it's not great for me.
No. She sicked her werefolk on my conjured mastiff. She's not our friend.
They're game crackers, yes. They're folk. Okay. Are we in initiative? Did we roll initiative?
We haven't rolled initiative, but I think that would be an appropriate thing to do. So, you all sit atop about 35 feet up this large, wide-branched tree. Lulu, you are still in the arms of Princess Merrimack as you stare down at these werefolk, one of which is just a bear now and is slowly crawling up this tree. The other is still in its hybrid goat form, crawling up the opposite side of the tree. The last of which is just a boar at the bottom of this tree, letting out like very heartfelt like words. And Nana off to the side, just shaking her head like, these are the people that I have to work with. You come to the fight with the werefolk you have, not the werefolk you want.
That's true. Ain't that always the way?
Yep.
So, 25 to 20. Oh boy.
Yeah,
15 to 20.
not quite.
Okay. 10 to 15.
I have 13.
13. Okay. So 5 to 10.
I had a 9.
9. Okay. So you're still going in front of Mr. Dirt, so that's something.
Good.
So, up at the top, we have Nana, who is going to be looking
great.
up at all of this with just consternation and kind of just exasperation. And she'll look up at the two of you and say, "Dearies, why don't you just come down? I
think
promise
we're
you,
good up here.
I promise you that Nana Rotgum will give you the best of treatment."
Look, I don't like to judge on names, but I'm gonna.
Yeah. No.
But I'm
We're
gonna.
good. We're good up here.
We're
Yeah.
good up here. And she will say, "Okay, you vicious little turd. Then my boys are going to come up there and show you what for," as she casts vicious mockery on you, Lulu. And I need you to give me a wisdom saving throw.
Oh, don't you have plus wisdom advantage on that, or what's the
Sure.
thing?
Yeah. Because of my spirit totem, I have advantage on. Oh no, it's wisdom checks. So it doesn't say saving throws.
Motherfucker. Okay.
Bummer. But still, my wisdom saving throw is pretty great. It's a
Okay.
+6. So let me roll. 13.
13 is exactly what you needed.
Whew.
So you feel these tendrils of psychic
Thank God.
energy lashing out from this old woman's words, grasping at your mind, and you shake it off. You just shake it off. Like Florence and her machine once said.
Another famous druid.
Yes, a
with
very-
levels in Bard.
Actually, I think
Yes.
Florence would be an artificer with her machine.
Oh, that's true.
Fair.
Leastways, that is Nana's turn as she remains standing about 15 feet away, just watching all of this happen. That brings us to Princess Merrimack Glass.
Excellent. I say, don't talk to her like that. And I shoot another Eldritch Blast at this mean old woman.
Oh,
Can I take my reaction to give her advantage on that attack?
yes, you absolutely can.
I would love
I would
that.
like to do that. I will do that. Thank you, Hawk Spirit Totem.
Thank you, Hawk Spirit Totem. Indeed.
Eyes of the Hawk, craw!
That is much better than last time. That is a 22.
22 is going to hit this little old lady.
And it is 2 beams.
Well, I believe you need to make an individual attack roll for each of those
For
beams.
both of them? Okay,
Yes.
okay. I wasn't sure how that worked. Okay. So, and I only get advantage on one of those?
Unless it's...
Oh, no, because it's her reaction.
Yes.
So it's a separate, it'd be a separate action. Okay. So the
I
first
don't
one
know
hits.
how spirit totems work.
And the next attack is it's more than 22. It's 19 plus 6, which is 25.
I like all of those numbers. They're great. Nana, on the other hand, is not a huge fan as those
Yeah.
strike against her AC. Just in... what do your Eldritch Blasts look like as they lance out of your shell-like focus in your chest?
So they are, they look like bright white laser beams, essentially.
Nice. Nice.
It's like the energy focuses in on the gem in the shell, like those little white orbs, and then it blasts out
So,
little white laser beams.
2 little beads of energy coalesce in front of the shell and then streak outwards in these lancing, bowing courses that just come straight towards the little old lady.
Yes. So she is taking.
God, your character is so anime.
I know.
Love it.
I'm very happy
love
with
her.
all of it.
The pirate
Okay,
prince.
so she is taking 2d10 force damage.
Oh my. Force damage.
Yes. So that is 8.
8. These 2 bolts hit her. Just boom, boom. And she goes reeling backwards and lets out a small... Ah! And as she takes a hard step forward, kind of just shaking herself, you see that the weird flesh mask that she was wearing begins to just slough off, and you see beneath like the drooping skin mask this green warty flesh, and she's just like, that takes all day to prepare.
Nah.
That brings us to Mr. Dum Dum. The bear, who is still in bear form, will continue to crawl up, but as he starts his turn within the moonbeam, I believe he needs to make another Constitution saving throw. Then he does so at disadvantage. Oh my gods. I just rolled the legendary double botch.
The double botch.
That is incredible.
Yay.
So, something
Later.
really... Yeah, I think this guy just goes blasting straight down away from this moonbeam. Roll me some moonbeam damage. Actually, no. What's the most you could deal with moonbeam damage? I rolled 2 1s at the same time. This is nuts.
Yeah.
Okay, well, it's what did we? Was it 3d10?
3d10.
3d10.
So 30.
Yeah, 30 full damage, just straight to this werebear's face, and as it's like blistered backwards in that. It's that moment in DBZ when the beam struggle like overcomes the second person, and they go, "Wah!"
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's not dead by any means, but he's just rocketed straight down onto the forest floor.
Nice. Excellent.
Yeah, and he has to basically spend his turn standing up and getting the heck out of this moonbeam, because he's just having a bad day. That is going to bring us to Mr. Dookie,
Awesome.
the weregoat, who is not ensconced in a moonbeam, so will continue to climb up. He will use his turn to basically get up to the branch that you're on, and suddenly there's a weregoat, like, unsteadily standing on the branch, its cloven feet sort of just like, oh, not meant for standing on branches.
Well, so I have a question real quick. Sorry.
Yeah.
I cast the moonbeam like down to the base of the tree.
Mm-hmm.
So when he starts climbing the tree, would he not enter the moonbeam?
He climbed around the opposite side, as this is a big, wide tree that you're on top of. That's why I said you only got 2 of the werefolk when it came down.
Okay.
I maybe should have set up. This is like a large deciduous tree that you're like, that's maybe like 20 feet around.
Okay.
So this
Totally
this weregoat manages to scramble up, but he has to take his whole turn doing it because he's not a very good climber with hooved feet.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That will bring us to Lulu. Still clutched in the arms of Merrimack. You are up on this branch. There is a weregoat nearby, but the other 2 werefolk have been knocked down to the ground.
Oh man. Do you know how close is the weregoat to us?
About 10, 15 feet away. He's pretty close. He's closer to the trunk of the tree, and you're a little bit farther out.
Is it possible for me to, because I can take an action to move the moonbeam, could I move it to get him without getting us?
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, I would like to do that.
As the hammer of dawn just curves around towards him.
This is so good.
Yeah, I would like to use my action to move this moonbeam to the weregoat.
Yeah, 100%.
Constitution saving throw with disadvantage.
Yep.
DC 14.
Yeah, no, and he's just not. Yeah, it's an 11. Actually, no, that's even less than that. It's a 9. And it's just bathed in this radiant light. Give me some moonbeam damage, as he is now also suddenly a goat on a branch.
Yep.
On a branch. 3d10. That is a 12.
12 damage to Mr.
12
Dookie.
damage.
But he did roll a dirty 20 on his dexterity saving throw. So
Damn.
this extremely acrobatic goat It's just balanced ever so precariously on this branch, staring at you with wide-eyed goat panic, and lets out that most traditional of goat screams, the
I can speak to beasts, so I'm gonna say to this thing in goat ease,
goatish.
"You're going down."
Goatish.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, he takes that threat very seriously. That will bring us to the werebore, Mr. Dirt, who is now outside of the moonbeam, so he can affect his transformation back into his hybrid form. And he's going to turn towards the probably a hag at this point, and he'll say,
Nana Ruckum, they've got scary magics.
and she'll say, "Oh yeah, well I've got some scary magics too. So get up that tree." And he'll go, "Yes, Nana," and turn back towards the tree and start scrambling up the side that isn't being accosted by a moonbeam. And he basically spends his whole turn doing that. Which brings us back up to the top with Nana Rotgum, who is staring at all of you with just the most consternated look on her face. It's just like, moonbeams, always with the moonbeams. And she is going to cast Vicious Mockery at you again, Lulu. I need you to make a wisdom saving throw.
Got it. Ooh, that's pretty good. Let's see. 14 plus. Well, I rolled a 14 before I add my modifier.
Well, you're already doing great then.
Yeah.
Yeah, you resist the Vicious Mockery as she says, "Would you knock it out, you short little waste of skin?" And you just turn and go, "No!"
No, Lulu's gonna like stick her tongue out and do the whole like kind of face at her. Yeah.
And she'll go, very well, and start rooting around in a little pouch near her belt for something that will resolve itself next turn. That brings us to Merrimack. You are still holding your gnomish friend.
Yeah, I don't know how much of an action putting her down would be.
Well, I think it's going to be more about whether or not Lulu can make the acrobatics check to remain standing on the branch.
Because, I mean, I can keep holding her and keep blasting and keep doing Eldritch Blast. Like, this seems to be a pretty good setup we have so far.
Yeah. I'm okay with this.
Yeah,
I have plus. Yeah.
I'm gonna do another Eldritch Blast at Nana Rotgum.
Okay. Well, there is also a very angry goat in front of you. Just letting you know that.
That's true.
I just kind of want to shove him off.
I know. I kind of want to I don't want to risk the acrobatics check because I'm not very good at that. But it would be so dope if I could just sideswipe the goat right off the.
You're not even relying on acrobatics right now. You realize that, right? You just have flying boots.
Yeah.
This is true.
Yeah, it is not your dexterity that's keeping you on this branch right now.
Yeah, I'm gonna roundhouse kick this goat off the branch.
Just with the gnome and the papoose grip as you just spin kick the goat.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna do that.
Okay, well,
that would be an unarmed attack.
Yeah,
I believe.
Are you proficient in those?
I don't think so. Do you have? Is there a?
Oh, can I use my? Is this an attack? Can I use my reaction again to give her advantage?
Yeah, it has been around since then. Absolutely.
So does that mean it's just a straight roll?
That.
It is a strength-based attack roll.
Okay. Oh yeah. Okay. Hell yeah.
Well, okay then.
Oh, those are both really bad rolls, though. That is a 12.
A 12. You sweep towards this goat. 12 is exactly what you needed.
Oh, nice. I guess it is just a goat.
It is just a goat.
Yeah.
A goat that really isn't going anywhere either.
Yeah.
Well, actually,
mean,
that's not
it is
true.
now.
It is now.
Now he's going.
As you spin kick forward and just swipe this goat along its goaty shoulder meat, it lets out a as it goes like sailing off this branch, very under-equipped in terms of, hands or fingers to actually grab anything with. The goat just goes stumbling straight off the branch to the ground. That's a solid 30 feet, so let's roll some falling damage. Poor goat. Ooh, that's a lot of sixes. As Mr. Dookie goes sailing to the ground, takes 11 falling damage. He's not a fan. Yeah.
Yeah.
And just like, boom.
Merrimack says, I could do this all day. And then whispers, I could do this for like 3 hours and like 20 more minutes. But I'm sure we'll beat them by then.
Lulu gives her a thumbs up.
That brings us to Mr. Dum Dum, who is still a bear, but has been just blasted down to the ground. He will look over to Nana pleadingly, just like, whoa. Just like he doesn't want to go back into the scary light. The light hurts a lot, as like little wisps of smoke are coming up from his matted bear fur. And Nana, who's still rooting around in one of her pouches, just like gives him a little shooing motion, like, back up the tree, back up the tree.
Oh my God.
Lulu actually feels bad for these creatures.
And the bear will just give a resigned, like, whoa, as it turns around and turns back into its werebear shape and begins climbing back up the tree. It makes it about halfway. That brings us to Mr. Dookie, the weregoat, who is like rolling around on the ground inside the moonbeam, making that saving throw. And okay. What is the save it needs to make? What's the number?
14.
14. He actually makes it.
And
Did you roll at disadvantage?
I
does
did.
he have disadvantage?
Nice. Good for you, Mr. Dookie.
I believe he still takes half damage.
Yeah,
He
he
does.
Sorry. Half damage would be 6. I rolled 12.
Okay. Not having a good day, Mr. Dookie. But
No.
least ways he's gonna roll out of that moonbeam and like scamper over to Nana, who's like not even gonna look up from what she's rooting for, and just like points straight back at the tree, and the goat goes like wheels back towards the tree.
Oh boy.
So they are all climbing the tree now, kind of like in a wide angle, so you can only ever get one of them with the moonbeam at this point. They're learning.
They remember.
Yes.
And that will bring us to Lulu.
I think Lulu is going to move the moonbeam to get. Oh, who does she want to get?
Who will it be?
None of them are looking great at this point.
Yeah, it's probably going to be the boar because she's assuming that he probably has the least health.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yes.
She's going to do it, but she's going to kind of close her eyes and she's a little apologetic about it. Because, like, they clearly don't want to be doing this. And she loves animals. She feels bad.
Yeah, and it seems very clear at this point that these are not people that were transformed into, like, animal hybrids. They were animals turned into people hybrids.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just gotta put him out
Yeah,
of
she
misery.
closes her eyes and, like, I know, I'm sorry. She yells down at this goat as she still moves her moonbeam to him.
You move your moonbeam with your eyes closed?
Can I do that?
Yeah, absolutely. I would just ask that you please roll me a d4 when you do so.
Uh-oh. Yeah. I got a 3.
Excellent. It goes precisely where you want it to, actually.
Nice.
Cool. Whew.
And it sweeps over, and the wereborg says, "Oh, not again."
Oh.
as he absolutely takes the full brunt of this damage, having rolled a solid 7 on his saving throw.
Oh. That is 13 damage.
Oh no.
Oh, and he falls off the tree
And he
again.
falls off the tree again. And takes another 5 falling damage. He is just like down on his like piggy back and is just gonna go and like a very defeated kind of like deflating sound comes from
buddy.
Mr. Dirt.
Oh no.
Yeah, as he is not looking great. Like really bad actually. Okay, is that your whole turn?
Let's see. I believe. Yeah, I don't know that I can take any like bonus actions. Yeah, that's gonna be my turn.
Okay, excellent. That is going to bring us to Mr. Dirt, who is still in the moonbeam. It's just having a bad day. Oh no, buddy. What's the most damage a moonbeam can do?
Oh boy.
30?
30. Okay. So there is the smell of bacon begins to rise from the bottom of the tree as Mr. Dirt is just cooked beneath the searing rays of the moonbeam as he botched on his saving throw. And
Oh boy.
yeah, it's not great.
Probably smells good.
It smells
Yeah.
amazing.
I think Lulu's gonna like silently bow her head for just like a second and do like a quick little prayer for his little poor goaty self. Or wait, was it the goat? It was
Piggy.
the boar.
It was the
His
boar.
piggy soul. His piggy soul.
His little piggy self.
Okay, that will bring us to the top with Nana, who will just like, something smells good, as she looks around and like looks over at the cooking minion. She goes, damn it, I'm gonna need to go to market and get another pig. And she'll look up at you, and she, out of a pouch, will pull what looks like a large round bug of some kind. It's some kind of big, fat, almost like slightly smaller than fist-sized beetle that's legs are sort of sticking out between her fingers and crawling around and seems to be like struggling in her grasp. And she'll like look up at you, give you a big, wicked smile, and crush the bug. And the ichor will begin like oozing between her fist and rolling down her arm. And it's at that point the weird sagging flesh mask that was sort of covering up her green warty skin will just be burned away by this black flame and revealing her hag visage beneath. She'll grin with these black teeth around warty lips, and she'll say, "Now it's time you fall," as she crushes this strange bug and casts Dispel magic on Merrimack.
No!
Oh.
I'm going to need
Can
you
I
both.
make a dexterity saving throw?
I need you both to make dexterity
Okay.
saving throws.
Holy.
Does that mean my boots are ruined?
Well, at least for the time being, perhaps.
Oh man. Just got these boots.
Oh. Holy bananas.
Oh
Okay.
man. Oh, no, it's just wisdom saving throws, right? Or wisdom checks that we have pluses on.
Yeah, wisdom checks. I rolled, let's see, altogether 13.
13. Okay. Lulu, you reach out and like fingers grasping at the branch, you're like barely hanging on. Merrimack, you just plummet. Coming around from that spin kick, you'd totally lost your center of balance relative to the branch, and you come hurtling down. As you exit a 30-foot patch, though, your boots suddenly click back on right before you hit the ground.
Ooh.
I need you to make an acrobatics check to see if you can correct yourself just before you hit the ground within 5 feet of hitting.
Okay.
It seems as though this anti-magic bug only extended a certain range.
Okay. That is a dirty 20.
Okay. So
I like go into the splits in my magic boots.
so you're just like hovering mere like a foot off the ground, your legs completely parallel to the surface below the tree. Van Damme would be proud as you just like have split and landed, and you are less than 20 feet away from Nana, who's just staring at you with a raised, horrible black eyebrow, and she says, "Well, that was unexpected."
I'm full of surprises.
So when you wink, it's hard to tell if you're blinking or winking because of the eye patch.
This is true. This is true.
That's fair.
Okay, that will be Nana's turn, so that brings us over to Princess Glass.
How far away? I'm 20 feet from her.
15, 20 feet, somewhere in there, yeah.
15, 20 feet. Excellent.
She's staring right at you.
And now that I'm
really loudly, by the way, when you do, you're like, she's like, yeah,
hanging on the branch, like, that was so cool.
Yeah, yeah, that was awesome.
Now that I'm not holding a gnome, I'm free to resummon my pact weapon.
Oh, yeah?
I am. And I do that. And I rush up. I fly up to this hag. And I do my excellent combo. I attack.
Good combo.
Her. No, hey, shut up. I'm not done. I won't be done for several minutes.
Right.
My sick combo is I hit her a lot.
I hit her a
lot.
Okay, sorry. Okay, so I'm attacking her.
Okay.
Is this all within a 30-foot radius of my spirit totem or no?
It would be just outside of your spirit totem, actually.
Got
And
it.
actually, what you're just now realizing is whatever Nana did with her bug dispelled the spirit totem.
Okay, and probably the moonbeam too then, huh?
The moonbeam relies on your concentration, not necessarily any kind of like exterior magical focus.
Okay.
So the moonbeam is still, because the moonbeam's 40 feet tall, I believe.
Yes.
Okay, so there's actually a weird like gap in the moonbeam at its center where it's not functioning.
Okay.
Interesting. That's so good.
Yeah.
Okay, and since my halberd has a 5-foot reach, I'm going to be at that distance from her.
Right, because halberds. Got it.
Yep. Okay. That is a 17.
17 is exactly what you need.
Ooh. Okay. Booming blade.
Oh, this is what's happening. Okay, got it.
Okay, so I'm going to roll my damage, and she is sheathed in booming energy until the start of my next turn. But she doesn't take the thunder damage right now, I don't think.
I believe it's only if she attempts to
moves.
leave. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, you cast Booming Blade as your action. As part of that action, you make this melee attack, which you just landed. On a hit, the target suffers normal damage and becomes sheathed in booming energy. Okay, so for the most part right now, it's just a normal hit.
It's just a normal hit. And she is going to be taking 11 damage.
Very nice.
And then I'm going to attack again. Thirsting Blade.
Hold up on that.
Yeah?
Thirsting Blade, I believe, only lets you attack again if you've taken the attack action.
But I have to make an attack action.
The action that you're doing to cast Booming Blade is casting Booming Blade, and then part of Booming Blade is you get to make a free melee attack. It's not the actual attack action.
Oh, okay.
Sorry.
Okay.
I hate to be the downer.
No, it's totally fine. Polearm Master.
Yep, yeah, you still get that, though.
Oh, God, but that's a botch.
Oh, no. Okay, so this is our first botched attack roll of the game. We've sort of seen how botches are treated from the bad guys' side of things.
Yep.
But when I personally have botches in my games, I tend to roll percentile to see a severity check. We'll see how things land. 68, okay, it's just a real bad whiff.
Okay.
It's usually on 75 or higher, things start getting interesting.
Yeah. Whew.
So, with a real bad whiff on the back end polearm swing, there's this just like large whoom that echoes through the woods as you land the first blow on the witch. And she lets out a haggy cry of "Rah!" Very Gruntilda-esque. That will bring us to...
Do I still have like 5 or 10 feet of movement left, I think?
Yeah, sure.
I'm gonna fly back a few, like 5 more feet, so I'm 10 feet away from her.
Okay, excellent. Yeah, you'd have, considering your halberd has reach, you would definitely still have space to move with.
Okay.
Okay, so that brings us to Dum Dum, who, seen his friend get cooked, is now super angry and is going to just rush up this tree, make it to the top branch. He can't get to you without dashing, so he won't. Instead, he's going to make an athletics check to shake the branch.
Oh, no.
So let's see how this big bear fellow does on this. Come on, buddy. That's a botch.
Oh boy.
So,
Thank God.
well, this could end poorly for both of you. No, it's just like he tries shaking the branch and he's trying to do it right where it connects to the trunk of the tree, and that's just not how you shake a branch.
No, that's not how physics works, dog.
No.
And he's just like,
No, not dog, bear.
Bear, excuse me.
Ain't not working.
that brings us to Mr. Dookie, who's going to continue to climb up the branch. Who's going to continue to climb up the tree. He gets to the branch and tries to like maneuver around his giant werebear friend. It's not going super well because, again, he has like cloven feet. So he's trying to like scrabble on all fours along this branch. And he basically spends his whole turn and he ends right above you, Lulu, kind of like staring down at you with this big, long goat face with gnarled, crooked teeth in its maw.
Yikes.
And that brings it to Lulu.
Is there, so for the layout of this tree, am I hanging on, like,
Yes.
hanging? Okay. Is there a branch that's like close enough below me that I think I might be able to try to drop to it to kind of start making my way down the tree?
This is one of the lowest branches of the tree. There are maybe
And-
one or two lower, but the lowest you can get down to the base of this tree is about 25 feet up.
Okay.
These are large, big, like oak trees with the branches
Yeah.
don't start until pretty high up, considering how old these trees are.
Yeah.
So there's maybe one or two branches below you, but they are much thinner, and they, yeah, I mean,
You know, I think I'm
you
gonna
are just a
take
gnome.
I'm gonna take my chances. I think I'm gonna attempt to drop to a lower branch.
I love this plan. I
This
believe
is a very foolhardy plan, but she's one of her flaw is there's no room for caution in a life lived to the fullest. So,
and here we are,
And here we are.
but
But-
here we are.
by that maxim, I think you're going to need to roll either an athletics or an acrobatics check, whichever you feel most comfortable with.
We're gonna go acrobatics. So that's a nat 20.
Yes.
Oh,
So
holy crap.
you get a little bit of momentum. You flounce the branch once, twice. The goat above you is just like, no. And then you just spring yourself down to the branch, and like some gymnast working the parallel bars, you do a quick spin around on the lower branch, and then just land on your feet, stick the landing on top of the branch.
Beautiful.
The goat and the bear hold up like signs that say 8 and 8.5.
And on the ground, the boar has a sign that says 0.
I'm so mad I don't have prestidigitation.
All right. Anywhere you'd like to move? I'll say the acrobatics check was pretty much your action to get over to the
My
branch.
action. Yeah. Let's see. I don't think maybe no, I think she's gonna stay put.
Okay. So the
Yeah.
goat man and the bear are about 10 feet above you on the branch you just vacated, and they are looking very disappointed that they need to go climbing back down the tree that they just climbed up. That will bring us to Mr. Dirt, who is just still sizzling in that moonbeam. Oh boy. Yeah, he's just smells like barbecue, y'all.
Yum.
Radiant barbecue.
Which will bring us
Ooh,
back
I
up.
would eat at a place called Radiant Barbecue.
I would too.
Yeah. Nana Rotgum will stare at you, Merrimack, and like clutch at the wound that you cast on her. She will stare at you with this gnarled face, look over at the werebore on the ground that is slowly being blackened. She'll glance up at the other werefolk who are just having the worst day. And she will look at you and just say, "Okay, I may have underprepared for this."
Yeah, it looks like it.
Yeah, you did.
So we can just go then? We cool?
No,
No.
we're not cool at all.
No.
I mean, nobody ate you. You're still alive.
You tried.
Well, sure, but we failed, so we can just leave, right? Because you're the good guys. And you don't kill people like us if we're just giving up and running away, right?
I don't believe we've met.
As you say from the branch above.
Yeah.
Oh, hello, Nanarotgum.
I'm Tallulah Willoughby Nebula Lionheart Snickersnee Pradamica, and you killed my dog.
This is true.
In my defense, it was those two, and she'll point back up the tree. I did no such thing. So we good?
Lulu is shaking her head no.
Yeah, no. Like
Yeah.
I'm here to kill a different hag, sure, but
You'll make good practice in the meantime.
it's true.
Do you say all of this out loud?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh. Are you here to kill Nana Granny Nightshade?
That's the one.
Well, I could help you.
You could probably tell me where she is. I do sort of need to know that.
Yeah, I definitely could. I could definitely do that.
Can Lulu do a check to see if she's lying off her ass?
You can.
Because she's real suspicious.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
Oh, that's not a great check. What would this be? An insight, maybe?
This would be an insight roll, yes.
I am also going to make it. I was also going to make an insight roll.
Probably a good idea.
Yeah.
13 altogether.
Mine is a 16.
She seems legit. She seems to have some kind of beef with Granny Nightshade. But she's also, like, she did just try to murder y'all.
She did just try to murder us.
Yeah.
But in this moment, you're just like, you think she's telling the truth? Probably. Upward inflection?
I think
As she just smiles at you with his like horrible rotted black teeth and goes, "Eh? Eh?"
Yeah, it's not great.
I can tell you where she is. Just gotta, let me walk away. Yeah? Maybe? And she's
I
like,
would
she
be
takes a
in-
step back and the booming blade goes off.
Okay, that's 2d8. That is 11 damage.
Okay. And she lets out a shriek as the booming blade goes off.
Oh yeah, you probably shouldn't move.
She goes, "Ah!" and goes stumbling backwards as this explosion of thunderous damage erupts around her. And she'll, like, stumble backwards and goes, "Fine, no help for you!" And she will become invisible.
Aw, Dunk.
Oh, can I don't know if we're still in initiative, but can I cast Dispel Magic?
Well, let's get to you in initiative. Merrimack, you are up first.
Mm-hmm.
And the hag has just vanished.
She's just vanished. I am going to cast. Dang it.
And you see that when she was rocked backwards, she dropped what looked like the pouch that she pulled the bug out of. It dropped down on the ground.
Okay.
But other than that, there's no trace of her.
I'm going to cast Cloud of Daggers where she disappeared from.
Okay.
So I fill the air with spinning daggers in a 5-foot cube, centered on where she just was.
Okay. Absolutely. What does your cloud of daggers look like?
The Cloud of Daggers, so it's like it doesn't say how many there are how many daggers can fit in a cube of 5 feet. We just don't know. I haven't done the math.
It is up to you to flavor the visualization of your magic. I've had people have Cloud of Daggers be a literal cloud of daggers. For my personal wizard, it looks like the fractal shattering that Doctor Strange does to get into the mirror dimension. A Cloud of Daggers can look like anything. It's a sharp space. That's what we know.
It's a sharp ass space. So I think that the Cloud of Daggers, it's like, I know it's mechanically a cube, but it's like basically an orb of crysknife looking daggers, pointing in. So these opalescent blades, pointing inwards at the point.
Absolutely. I love it. Okay. So that appears out of your opalescent magic. And there's no reaction or sound from within. You're unsure if it's had any effect or not, at least in terms of piercing your foe.
Yeah.
Mr. Dum-Dum and Mr. Dookie are looking around with a small amount of panic, unsure about what to do, their mistress having abandoned them. And that will bring us to Lulu.
Oh, man. Lulu was going to try and cast Dispel Magic. But now she feels like that would also get rid of the Cloud of Daggers.
Oh, it doesn't matter to me. That was mostly to see if I could just hurt her where she was. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I am. She's going to cast Dispel Magic, but so what was this terrible old woman's name? Sorry.
Nana Rotgum.
Nana Rotgum. Okay. Before Nana Rotgum disappeared, she looked like she was trying to head in a certain direction. I think Lulu's going to cast her Dispel Magic kind of a little ways in that direction, not necessarily where Nana Rotgum was when she disappeared.
Trying to shoot where she is going to be, not where she was.
She's gonna try to predict where Nana Rotgum would have been headed based on where she was already headed.
All right. It's a third level spell. You've got a range of 120 feet. You're sort of trying to gauge where you think she might have gone. So I'm going to need you to make a perception or investigation roll, whichever you prefer.
Let's see. I think I prefer investigation, but let me double check.
Basically, this is some kind of like
Oh, no, perception.
sight check to see if you can gauge precisely where you think she is going to be.
Yeah, definitely prefer perception. It's a 12 plus 6, so that is 18.
18. Wowzers. Okay.
Lulu's very perceptive.
Yeah. And you kind of like train your hand towards where you think it's going to be, and then finally you release the spell, and let's see. Yeah, this is just a spell-like ability, so phoomp, suddenly she appears, just like paused in mid-motion, about 15 feet behind the the cloud of daggers, and just freezes and turns towards you all and goes, And it's at that point that a figure in shining armor steps out of the underbrush not far from where you are, just on the other side of Nana Rotgum, lets out a weary sigh and a shake of her head as she surveys the carnage that's happening here. And as Magna Vancia approaches this scene, I think that is where we're going to end this episode of Dreadwood Fairytales. With
That was so much fun.
You're in for it now, Nana.
You are in for it
Right.
now, Nana Rotgum. I'd like to thank all of our patrons and Twitch subscribers for making everything we do here at the Greyhawk channel possible. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you've enjoyed this start to this insanity, please let us know via all those social media things that I mentioned before, like Discord or Twitter. You can also comment in the chat to tell us what you think in an ongoing basis. We really do appreciate that. Seeing that people are engaged is half the fun.
Yes.
Even if I'm not personally responding, but I'm having to be all sorts of weird things.
Yeah.
This is true.
And if you want to find more things here on the Greyhawk channel, please go check out our scheduling block somewhere else on the Twitch page. I'm not quite sure where to point to, but it's usually there somewhere. And you can find all sorts of awesome shows that are happening all week long here that all take place in the world of Greyhawk. In the meantime, I have been your humble dungeon master, Mike Gorgoni. You can, of course, find me on Twitter at MKGorgoni. And among other things, you can also probably find Granny Nightshade, of all people, hanging out on Twitter. I don't know how she got on there, but she's
Who gave
just...
that old woman an internet connection?
I don't know.
Right?
Somewhere in the Dreadwood, there's some Wi-Fi.
Yeah.
But
She probably pays a premium for that, which makes me feel a little better.
Yeah.
But you can follow her over at Granny Knight. She's just living that big hag energy, just 24/7.
24/7. I have been your privateer princess, Merrimack Glass. You can find me on Twitter at Elliot C. Lewis. That is my name. And if you would like to hear me play not a less dumb character, I don't know how to say it, but if you'd like to see me or hear me play Dungeons and Dragons more, you can find me on Material Components on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcasts, and over on Twitter at MatcomRPG.
This is true.
And I am Becca. I've been playing Lulu Prodamica, and you can find me on Twitter at DreadPirateBex. If you would like to hear me DMing some D&D for the first time ever with an amazing group that is all ladies who are all playing for the first time ever, you can find us over at the Dice Girls on Twitter or wherever you find podcasts.
I recommend both of those shows because Matcom is the game I DM, so I'm slightly biased, but Dice Girls is also just an amazing show.
Dice Girls is so funny.
Oh, thank you so much.
Thank you all so much for joining us here on the Greyhawk channel. I look forward to our next adventure in these Dreadwood fairy tales. Let's hope that a returning paladin may turn the tides of this witchy business. Bye, everybody, by the way.
See you next week.
Bye.